Gentlemen, it is Coach CK. Healthy, strong dads. Strong, healthy dads. Dads who lift. Dads who work out. Dads who prioritize their health, their physical health. Super important, okay? Super important to be a leader of your family, to prioritize eating healthy and exercising. Having a general fitness capacity, being able to handle anything that comes your way, being able to lift up heavy shit, being able to defend yourself, being able to do a lot of work, a high volume of any task, having a general physical preparedness for life. All these things are super important. They're not the whole picture though. They're not the whole picture though. Having a really, really high level of physical fitness and having zero to no level of emotional fitness, to spiritual fitness, to mental fitness. If you are a one-dimensional man that only has physical strength, are you really serving your family at the highest level and the highest capacity that you possibly can? Answer that question. Think about it, marinate on it. And then I'll ask a follow-up question. If you're not, if you're elite in your body, but you're not putting in any reps emotionally, mentally, spiritually, then how do you get fitness in those kind of realms? This is a tricky question, right? Because if I know that I want to improve my physical fitness, I'm pretty confident what to do. Maybe you're not confident there. Maybe you're rocking the dad bod and you're not confident in your physical fitness. And you're like, hey, Craig, just give me some tips there. Let's start with that. That's pretty simple. You got to lift weights 3 to 4 times a week. You got to take about 10,000 steps a day. You got to start with some sort of mobility, range of motion improvement. You've got to move your body, and you've got to eat the right amount of calories to be able to function on a daily basis. So if you don't know what that is, you got to figure it out. There's TDEE calculators for free on the internet. I can post a link for one of those if you want to make it easier for you. And you have to eat your body weight in grams of protein or slightly under. That is the starting point. So you start doing that with consistency, and now you start to see some improvements physically, but you're still an asshole. You still hate your job. You're still miserable to be around. You can't hold a conversation with your wife and your kids without getting triggered. You've taken one step, but is it enough to make an improvement? Well, you've started to move the needle, and I'm proud of you. But let's talk about how we're going to move the needle in the other 4 areas, the other 3 areas, right? Let's talk about mindset. Let's talk about spiritual health, and let's talk about emotional damage, okay? Number 1, your emotional damage, your feelings. Are your feelings running you, or are you the master of your feelings? That's a huge question. You guys all tuned in and saw Will Smith step up on stage and smack Chris Rock in the face. He got triggered because the dude made a comment about his wife. We don't know the backstory, but we know enough to know that there's some issues there with the wife. He's insecure. He's having a little bit of a meltdown and a breakdown. He got triggered and he couldn't control his emotions, and he looked like an asshole on national television. He should have probably been charged for a crime. If anything, he's embarrassed himself. He's probably done more damage in the relationship with his wife because he acted in a way that wasn't conducive to get the results that he wanted, right? He thought he did, but his emotions got the best of him. I guarantee when he calms down and looks what he wants and has conversations, he's going to be frustrated and upset at himself for doing that. So emotional damage. How do you get the reps in at that skill set in order to become better emotionally so that you don't fly off the handle, so that you don't get triggered? Well, there's one tool that I'm really a huge fan of. I've been a part of the Warrior program. You guys have heard me talk about it for years, right? And it's called the stack. And the reason that the stack is effective and how you can use it without having access to that specific tool is you take a moment to remove yourself from the situation. Okay, that's the key. And we can all do this. My best friend Brent's not in part of the Warrior group, but he says, smile and breathe, baby. Smile and breathe. If you take a moment to understand and back away from the situation, before taking immediate action when you're triggered and what I call when you're seeing red, when you're in that fight or flight mode, then you'll be able to insert, does this action I'm about to take move me closer to what I want? And that's it. It's really that simple. What's the story that I'm believing here? And what action is that going to drive me to take? And then look at what you actually want in that situation. So when you remove yourself, you have time to process it, and you can say, okay, here's what I really want to do because here's what I believe happened. And then once you remove yourself, you could say, okay, whether or not that actually happened, that interpretation, my interpretation of that event, whether or not he was really picking on me because he thinks I'm a horrible person and I think I need to stand up for what's right and I need to defend my wife's honor, if that's the case, what would be the best and most effective way for me to do that? Would it be physical violence? Most likely that's never the answer in this certain situation. Definitely not in that situation. But once you remove yourself, what do I want out of this situation? I want to strengthen the relationship with my wife. I want to stick up for her. I want to honor her. I want to have courage and be the man. Whatever these things, however you process it, now you can make an educated decision on what you want and what tools you have in your toolbox to be able to. So that is how we get emotional fitness. We put ourselves in triggering situations. We breathe and smile. We remove ourselves and we figure out what to do. You get many reps at that. When you start to identify what the triggers are, you can do it on your own. You can write down and go back to past situations where you may or may not have made a wise decision, and you can work that exercise. See the action you took and go, wow, that really got me what I want? Nah, actually, it kind of screwed me. And so let me remove myself, figure out what I want, and look to see what would be some different scenarios that I could have done differently and what would have been the results of those actions, and see what would have worked better. To start to develop this muscle, guys, you're only as good as you are able to control your emotions. Think about that. You could be the best guy, but as soon as you get triggered, you become an asshole. You're an asshole because you will get triggered. So you're only as good as you are good at controlling your emotions. So that's 2. This video is already getting super long. There's 2 more disciplines that I think in order to train your mind and to train your spiritual disciplines, but I'll get into those in a second video. But physical and emotional we covered, and those are both huge. So think about that. Get those reps in the gym, and get those reps in with the notebook and in real life in those critical conversations, and you'll become a lot more of the dad you want to be and the husband you want to be. All right, love you guys.